Welcome to Relaxed Reddit Readings. Today we have 4 Reddit stories for you. Reddit stories that will make you question everything. Story 1. Friend's husband stole my kindness. So I just discovered that my friend's husband has been basically stealing from me, and I'm questioning whether I'm overreacting here. Let me explain what happened. I have this dear friend who's been going through an incredibly rough time. She recently lost a parent and she's been struggling with her mental health, so I've been trying to be there for her however I can. Recently, I offered to pick up some dinner from her favorite restaurant. She gave me her order, and honestly, it was way more food than I expected. Like, multiple dishes, enough to feed several people. But you know what? I didn't mind at all if it meant she could eat well during this difficult time. So I go pick up the food, and it cost me about $60. Not cheap, but whatever, I care about my friend. I drop it off at her place, and here's where it gets weird. Her husband answers the door, takes the food, and just says thanks. No offer to pay me back, nothing. My friend wasn't even there. I thought maybe she'd sent him the money to give me, but nope. Radio silence. A few days later, I'm talking to my friend, and I casually mention the dinner. She looks at me completely confused and says she never asked me to pick up any food. Turns out, her husband had been using her phone to text me, pretending to be her, and ordering food on my dime. When I confronted him about it, he had the audacity to say that since I offered to help his wife, I should be helping him too, and that the food was for both of them anyway. He claimed I was being selfish by only wanting to help her and not considering that he's also affected by her parents' death. I was absolutely floored. This guy literally impersonated his wife to trick me into buying him dinner, and then tried to guilt-trip me when I called him out. My friend was mortified when she found out, but now she's asking me not to exclude her husband from future gatherings because it would make things awkward for her. She says he's just stressed and not thinking clearly. But here's the thing, I don't trust this guy anymore. He's manipulative, he's a liar, and he took advantage of my genuine care for his wife. I told my friend that I'm not comfortable including him in group activities anymore, and that while I'll always be there for her, I need her to understand why I can't just pretend this didn't happen. Now some of our mutual friends are saying I should forgive and forget because families stick together during hard times, and that I'm being petty over $60. But this isn't about the money, it's about the betrayal and the manipulation. Am I wrong for wanting to exclude someone who literally impersonated his wife to steal from me? If you're enjoying these stories, hit that like button and let me know in the comments which story you relate to the most. Story 2. Wedding Guest Nightmare I Created. So I just realized I might be the worst wedding host ever, and I need to know if I'm completely out of line here. I'm already married for 2 years now, but I was talking to this new coworker today about weddings, and he made me question everything about how I handled mine. Here's what happened. After our wedding ceremony, my wife and I decided to go take our wedding photos at a studio because we figured a fall wedding could have unpredictable weather. Makes sense, right? Well, my coworker asked what entertainment I had for the guests during the photos. And that's when it hit me, I had literally nothing planned for them. Full disclosure, I've only been to like 2 weddings in my life, so I really didn't know what I was doing. But get this, there was a 2-hour gap between the ceremony and cocktail hour. 2 whole hours where I just expected our guests to, I don't know, figure it out themselves. My coworker looked at me like I had 3 heads when I told him this. He was like, dude, what were your guests supposed to do for 2 hours? And honestly, I didn't have an answer. I think I just assumed people would go home and come back or something. Looking back, that's absolutely insane. These people came to celebrate with us, probably took time off work, maybe even traveled, and I just left them hanging for 2 hours in the middle of the day. Some of our guests were elderly, some had young kids, and I basically told them to entertain themselves in a town some of them didn't even know well. The more I think about it, the more horrified I become. Like, what did Great Aunt Martha do for 2 hours? Did she just sit in her car? Did people have to find a random restaurant and kill time? I'm starting to remember some weird conversations from that day where people seemed confused about the timeline, and now it all makes sense. My coworker told me that most weddings either do photos before the ceremony, or they have cocktail hour immediately after while the couple takes quick family photos. He said he's never heard of just abandoning guests for hours. The worst part is, I was so focused on getting the perfect photos that I didn't even think about the people who came to support us. And now I'm wondering if some of our friends and family went home that day thinking we were incredibly rude or inconsiderate hosts. I'm genuinely considering reaching out to people to apologize, but my wife thinks that would just draw more attention to it and make things weird. She says what's done is done and most people probably don't even remember. But I remember now, and I feel terrible about it. Was leaving wedding guests with a 2-hour gap between ceremony and reception the most inconsiderate thing ever? Story 3. My twin gets everything because he's autistic. So my mom just completely lost it on me, and I'm starting to wonder if I'm being unreasonable or if this favoritism has finally gone too far. Let me give you some context first. I'm 17, and I have an autistic twin brother. Growing up, he was selectively mute and didn't start speaking until he was 7 years old. Because of this, whenever we'd eat out as kids, my brother would always get more of everything if he asked for it, because my parents knew it was rare for him to speak up about his needs. I totally understood this when we were younger because his needs were genuine and it was important to encourage his communication. But here's the thing, we're teenagers now, and I can safely say he's almost like any other normal teen. I share a room with him, I spend tons of time with him, and trust me, he's completely capable of advocating for himself now. He talks constantly, he argues, he jokes around, he's honestly just a regular teenager who happens to be autistic. The problem is, my mom still treats him like that 7-year-old who couldn't speak up for himself. Just yesterday, we went to McDonald's, and I ordered a 10-piece chicken nugget meal. My brother ordered the same thing. But then my mom turns to the cashier and says, "Actually, make his a 20-piece. I asked why he got more, and she gave me that same old line about how he doesn't usually ask for what he wants. Except that's complete nonsense now. This kid asks for everything he wants and more. He's constantly requesting specific snacks, asking to go places, negotiating for later bedtimes, you name it. So I told my mom no, I wanted the same amount as him. And she absolutely exploded on me. She started yelling about how I should be more understanding of my brother's condition, how I'm being selfish, and how I have no idea what it's like for him. But here's what really gets me, she does this in front of him, and he just sits there smirking because he knows he's getting preferential treatment. It's not even about the chicken nuggets, it's about the principle. Every single time we go anywhere, he gets more food, more privileges, more understanding, more everything. And any time I point out that maybe things should be equal now that we're both basically functioning at the same level, I get accused of being unsympathetic to his autism. I love my brother, I really do, and I understand that he faces challenges I don't. But I also think I deserve to be treated fairly by my own mother. The thing is, when it's just me and him, he'll literally admit that he plays up certain aspects of his autism to get what he wants from our parents. He's not stupid, he knows exactly what he's doing. But the moment I try to call this out, I'm the bad guy who doesn't understand neurodivergence. I'm starting to feel like my own needs and feelings don't matter in this family because everything revolves around accommodating him, even when those accommodations aren't necessary anymore. Am I really being selfish for wanting equal treatment, or has this favoritism gotten completely out of hand? Story 4. Friend's wedding dress budget is insane. So my friend is getting married, and I think I just witnessed the most out-of-touch wedding planning disaster ever, but now she's mad at me for being realistic. I need someone to tell me if I'm being too harsh here. One of my close friends asked me to go wedding dress shopping with her, which I was happy to do. I've already gone with her 3 different times now, and each appointment lasts around 2 hours. I bring my daughters because she specifically wants them there, so this is becoming quite the commitment. During the very first appointment, I asked her what her budget was for the dress, just so we'd know what range to look at. She told me she didn't really have one. I thought that was a little unusual, but okay, maybe she just meant she was flexible. But then I realized she literally meant she had no budget whatsoever. We're talking about someone who makes about $50,000 a year, and she's seriously considering dresses that cost $8,000 to $12,000. When I gently suggested that might be a bit much, she brushed me off and said it's her special day and she deserves to feel beautiful. I totally agree that she deserves to feel amazing, but we're talking about spending almost a quarter of her annual salary on a dress she'll wear once. The thing is, she keeps asking for my opinion, and then getting upset when I'm honest about the financial reality. At our second appointment, she fell in love with a $9,000 dress. $9,000. When she asked what I thought, I told her it was gorgeous but maybe we could find something similar for less money. She got all quiet and said I was being negative and not supportive of her vision. But here's what really gets me, she then started talking about how she might need to put it on a credit card, or ask her parents for money, or maybe take out a small loan. A loan for a wedding dress. I couldn't stay quiet anymore. I told her that going into debt for a dress was absolutely crazy, and that there were plenty of beautiful dresses for a fraction of that price. I reminded her that she and her fiancé are also trying to save for a house, and that this one purchase could seriously impact their future financial goals. She did not want to hear any of this. She accused me of not understanding how important this day is to her, and said I was being too practical and sucking the joy out of her experience. But someone needs to be practical here. Her fiancé apparently just tells her to get whatever makes her happy, which sounds supportive but isn't helping her make smart decisions. Now she's barely speaking to me, and I'm wondering if I should have just kept my mouth shut and let her make her own mistakes. But I care about her, and I hate watching someone I love make such a financially destructive decision. The worst part is, she keeps sending me pictures of even more expensive dresses, like she's trying to prove a point. I'm starting to think she invited me along not for honest advice, but just to have someone validate whatever she wants to do. Am I being too rigid and practical about this, or is it completely insane to spend that much money on a wedding dress when you can't actually afford it? If you enjoyed these stories, drop a comment telling me which one was your favorite. And if you want more relaxed Reddit readings, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these stories, like, comment and subscribe for more relaxed Reddit readings.